Good morning, everyone. Now, I know I'm skipping ahead a little bit, a couple of months, but I'd like to introduce you to somebody special. This is Quilp, Q-U-I-L-P, Quilp. Okay, he's the latest addition to our McGhie madness, aren't you? Eh? All right. I named him Quilp because that's an old family name. Quilp was one of the legends of my youth when I was just a little fella up in the Northern Territory. He was an Aboriginal gentleman. Incredible history revolving around that man. And because we were Alban Parrott's grandchildren, and he was like Granddad's right-hand man, we were like his grandkids. So I'll bring that story to you on our Patreon. For this little bloke, sire was Chansey, mother was Lacey, which is an old bitch that we actually retired out to a friend's place. You're cold, aren't you? Hey, you're cold. Yeah, you're cold. And this little guy, we're trying to get the skunk line and everything back in. Now this little bloke, he's only 8 weeks old, and he's an absolute monster. He's got skunk and chock bloodline in him. He goes right back to the duck, Wiley, Chansey, Moss, my old Tig dog, Jock. Everything is in this dog. The Moss line from Scott Lithgow that I originally got back 30 odd years ago runs in his veins as well. So this is a very, very special little guy. And what made him even more special is he threw one blue eye. And that merle, that goes right back. That eye goes right back to his great-grandmother, who had 1/8 Australian Coolie. So he would have just the finest splash of Coolie blood, but this white, half-white face like on Brandon, and that's is running through his veins. But look at that for a monster. He's a tricolour, so he's throwing back to the old duck and Wiley lines, and throwing back to our original Moss lines. So he's got it all. And his brother and sisters are there as well. So if anybody was interested, just send me a personal message. And there's some beautiful pups there waiting for homes. Let's see what you can do in your life, Quilp. Hey? What do you reckon? What do you reckon? A very pleasant change today. It's overcast. The humidity is way down. Like it's probably still 60%, but it's not 95% like it was. So happy days, yeah. So a lot easier to work in these conditions than when the sweat's just pouring off you. Am I talking to myself again, Brandon? Little Miss Mossy. She's commanded the front seat. It was like her birthright. She said, "This is my dad's seat. Get out of the road." Right, all quiet on this one. Nothing. And nothing. Cattle have been here. Cattle marks. Cow and calf. Okay, we've got cattle around the tracks, which isn't always a good sign. I don't see any happy smiling faces, dogs. That one's still intact. Cattle have kicked this one out over here. Well, that's to be expected to lose at least one. The cattle kicked that one out. Let's push these cattle away a bit. Brandon and Waylon, they're working the cattle. And Waylon just, he barks and he pushes, and he's not a classic working dog. Waylon, come. Up. But Waylon has never worked stock. Until recently, he'd never ever seen a sheep. There's no doubt about it. He has caught hundreds and hundreds of pigs, whaling, and same thing. He just races around, bails them up. He's got that big bark on him. He's as gentle as a lamb, but he'll bark at them if they go to move. He'll nip them on the testimonials, turn them back around, and just wait for me. He's a big, gentle giant, right? But I put him on sheep there recently. We've got some Dorpers. I put him on sheep, and you would be surprised what he did. That dog would go out around the paddock, around the 5-acre paddock, right around it, pick all the sheep up and bring them back straight to me, and he would help me literally put them into a chicken coop at night, each night. Mossy, on the other hand, is naturally, she wants to work sheep. She's working sheep brilliantly now. She'll block pigs. She'll go around cattle and work cattle. She's very much like her old dad. So what you're seeing with my dogs there with the cattle is not, they haven't been trained to do that. Haven't been trained to work cattle at all. I just use them for what I need them to do, and they're pretty good at that. And a lot of people might look at this and go, oh, he's training his dogs wrong. You should be sending the dogs around, getting them to bring the cattle to you. And that is a way, a method of working cattle. There's a few different camps here where some people believe that you should be drive your cattle and have leaded cattle, coach your cattle up the front, and your dogs should be blocking them from going too fast, and you bring along the back, the tail with your horses, and look over the front of your horse at your stock or off the side of your horse if you're on the wing, and you look at your stock on the side as you drive them along, and your dogs are around the front blocking them up or just keeping them steady or helping to bring up the tail. Okay, that's one method. That's sort of the way that we were sort of brought up with. One of the big schools of thought now, and a lot of people are training, is that you should ride in front of your stock and the dogs are behind and bringing the cattle up or the sheep up to you, which is perfectly okay, nothing wrong with that at all. You're always looking over your shoulder because everything's happening behind you. You can't see the details because it's back there, right? You don't have eyes in the back of your head. So there's people that like it and there's people that don't like it. Righto. For my circumstance here, what you're seeing there before, what Brandon and Waylon were doing, they have clicked on to what I want them to do. I want to move these cattle away. So what I've done here is I've moved them away from that trough where there's 5 trap sets, and I've just pushed them down here, and they'll go down to the next water trough. Now there's tons of feed. It's not as if there's shortage of feed in this paddock, so they're not going to starve. And there's plenty of water down there. And I'm just saying to them, please just go down there, bugger off, and stay down there for a day or so, and leave these traps alone so that we might catch another dingo or two at this set back here, because if all those cattle came up here, probably every trap would be wrecked. So these dogs have picked up on it that if I just steadily go along behind this mob, their job is just to keep pushing them ahead of me. They've worked that out themselves. A couple of commands, tell them to steady down and whatever, and they're working perfectly for me, for my application, okay? It doesn't work for everybody. This isn't, I'm not trying to muster these cattle into a yard. Now, years ago, and I'll try and bring some of that footage to people probably on my Patreon site. At one stage, I had 4,000 deer behind high fence. I got up to being probably the second biggest deer farmer in Australia at one stage. Okay, not a great title because the whole industry was falling to bits, and I was buying a lot of deer that people otherwise would have let out or shot, or it was a mess, a real mess. But I bought a lot of those deer in for next to nothing, fenced like crazy, and set up a major deer farming enterprise, supplying 30 to 50 carcasses to the domestic market every week. And it worked well for a few years until there's other things that I'll go into with overseas markets that crashed the whole thing again. Okay, we lost pretty badly on that at the end. I've got footage there of these guys, probably great-granddad, old Tig, bringing in 1,500 rooster deer in one mob, working them by himself. Not that I only had one dog, I had up to 17 dogs at that time. Oftentimes I'd go out with 5 or 6 dogs on my quad bike and muster in. And we're putting through 500, 700 deer a day, most days, because we had to change paddocks and put them on the grain bins and do waters and do all the animal husbandry stuff you need to do, and velveting up to 700 red deer stags, horses for courses. So yeah, I'll bring a lot of that footage to you. It's on the mini DVD tapes. I've got to get them all put back onto digital and whatever. And some people will find that interesting. So anyway, enough of the jawing. Let's get and catch a few more dogs. So this is the Reconyx Ultrafire, again from Dave and Tracy Randall, Professional Trapping Supplies down there in the Gold Coast. Yeah, beautiful camera. The quality of the footage is exceptional. Switched off. Okay, let's take it home and see. Right here where the cattle will wreck this once more. And that one's still intact, mossy. I sort of think I should pull this line. I should pull all the traps out of here on the way back. Check them now as we go through. I'll make a decision. And I want to move soon to the next property because there's rain. It looks like rain coming in a week's time. So it looks like I've got one more week of trapping here and then we're going to be probably washed out. So I might get 2 weeks instead of 3. So I think pull these traps, we'll check them, pull them up, and yeah, get ready to head to the next property. I'll probably leave 20 or 30 sets in here that I really think have got a chance to fire further over there where the main big pack is. And what I'll do is I'll go over and I'll set up at the other properties about 30 kilometres away, and then I'll come back each day and check a much smaller line until I think that I've got as many as I can get. Then I'll lift those traps as well and take them to property number 2. That's the plan. Righto, we're coming down to the site where we caught the only dog that we've caught on this line. I have got a dog here because there was a roo carcass here and it's gone, and that dog scratched at the side of the trap. There's its track. Drag this right over here, look at this. Now what I think I'll do is, if it's interested, I'll take this back and I'll set a couple of traps, blind traps, in that sandy creek bed, and I'll put the roo back where it was, and I think it'll come back and have another go at this. So we've got a good chance here. I wish I had a couple of sand anchors here, because that's where they'd be good, the drive-in sand anchors. They're hard to get out of this country, but you know, like the $2 an anchor or something like that. And in this sort of circumstance, it's worth driving a couple in and waste them, or when I come back next time, locate them and use them again. And people say to me, how do you locate them again? How would you not lose them? Well, the best thing there is to get like a drag, put a piece of wire on a piece of wood and tie them onto your anchor, and that way you can come back and you'll see the piece of wood and you can resurrect it again like that. I might just use a drag on this one. The boar pig up here. Two pigs. Wind's good. One's going down. I think I got the second one. On the second one. Mossy, come. Mossy! So much for my quiet little Border Collies. Second one's over here somewhere. You drag it out so I don't have to. Off! Right, Brandon. Hunt him up, Brandon. Hunt him up. Brandon, hunt him up. Hunt him up. Where's you go? Off! Off! Good dogs. Good dogs. Good dogs. Two down. Mossy, cut it out. Moss, come. Mossy, come. Mossy, come. Mossy, come. Mossy, come. It's a big show. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. Good boy, Brandon. Good boy, Brandon. That's old. White ants are starting to eat it. I've always said it's good luck if you hang an antler in a tree. Especially the old ones. What's the use of taking them back? They just fall to bits. Hang them in a tree and see if you can get some good luck. This is a split jack vine. Comes up there, little spiky fella. He's got like little rose thorns on him. He's got this fruit. Split jack. And it's edible. Well, it doesn't taste too bad, bros. Yeah. I'm eating better. Little split jack. things have been fairly quiet since before lunch. Yeah, not many tracks this afternoon, nothing much fresh, but things might change. One leg of the trap line to do now, so I can basically loop back down to the homestead now. I won't even worry about freshening that one up. That trap's only been in 4 days, so the scent should be just perfect. I had a stick come up underneath it and I've got a funny noise in my exhaust now. I better get the welder out. There's dogs still here, I know it. I reckon there's still 4 or 5 dogs on the line. But just where? We're going to pick them up. It's sort of getting to that stage on the trap line where we could have a lull. We could have a sort of lull for a couple of days where there's not much goes on. We've taken one for the day. We're up to 10 dogs, so we're still doing good. But I hope it doesn't turn quiet. I had hoped to finish really well, but we shall see. And there's weather coming in. They're predicting rain. We'll get back and check our weather forecast and then make a bit of a plan.